接下来播出的工厂莲花超跑。
Lotus. 60 years of sports car engineering, and at their mega factory in Norfolk, a new supercar is being bred. It must bridge the gap between the past and the future, because a bold new project is underway.
This is really going to the maximum, asking every single bit from any employee in this company.
Modern production methods introduced to a company steeped in history. A vision for the future, taking shape today. British carmaker Lotus is world-renowned for producing agile sports cars with great handling. Their secret? An intricate combination of lightweight materials, suspension, tyres and wheel balance. Now, Lotus are building a new supercar, born from that heritage. The Evora. Top speed 260 kilometers per hour. 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds. Its heart is a smooth 3.5-litre V6 engine. Its lightweight composite suit and aluminium chassis help it fly. More than just another fast car, the Evora is a new dawn for Lotus.
I feel Lotus has a big potential to become one of the big premium sports car manufacturers again, as it was 25, 30 years ago.
The grand vision, powering into the modern era with a full range of new supercars by the end of the decade.
To develop 5 new sports cars in the next 6 years is something that is close to not being very realistic.
Those new cars represent the blueprint of our future range. This is a real statement.
Now, National Geographic goes behind the scenes at Lotus to follow this bold new project. We follow the story of the Evora, from its design conception, through factory assembly, to its birth as a supercar. It's an international makeover for a company steeped in British engineering history.
We'd like to be different, we'd like to have smart and clever, innovative technology. We'd like to follow the lightweight approach. As much as we can, we try to follow the DNA of the past 60 years.
Hethel, Norfolk, England. This site housed US Air Force bombers during World War II, but has been the home of Lotus cars since 1966. The mega factory has produced a stream of game-changing lightweight sports cars. Assembled by hand, born to handle winding country roads, but equally at home on the racetrack. Fresh from Ferrari, Danny Bahar is the new chief executive of the Lotus Empire. Danny has ambitious plans for the company.
The plan of Lotus is, put in simple words, a very short sentence actually. It's to become a premium sports car manufacturer as Lotus was 25 years ago.
September 2009. Danny arrives at Lotus and is surprised by what he finds.
My first impression was really a shock because I found everything still 25 years backwards, if you want. So everything was as it was many years ago. There was no real money invested into facilities, into many things.
But Danny soon realizes how Lotus earned its worldwide reputation.
The people and the competence and the experience, the knowledge, but more importantly, the passion all these employees had for the brand was something never seen before. And even in my previous experience at Ferrari, where it is all about passion, this one is something really special and something so positive that only motivates you to do better.
Danny knows he cannot launch his project alone. He handpicks elite specialists from Europe's leading car companies.
I wanted to have a management team that has the same kind of thinking. And so I put all these people names together from big companies, big sports car manufacturers actually, in big positions. And to my surprise, nearly all of them accepted this challenge.
A colleague from Ferrari, Donato Coco, has the experience to make Danny's vision a reality.
We were at Ferrari together, and he just approached me, proposing me to follow him in this beautiful project that was rebuilding Lotus. And I found that extremely interesting, of course.
Donato is a designer and student of classic car history. The perfect combination to judge how the Evora fits into the Lotus stable.
Like in every company, the cars produced by that company have to be respectful of the DNA of that company. And in terms of design, the Evora, being a Lotus, shows correspondency with that.
Danny's new team have a clear idea of how to rejuvenate the company.
Lotus is a great brand with a rich heritage. I think second to none in the sports car or automotive industry in general, with all this motor racing wins and with all these beautiful cars they developed. But we need to design and develop cars that actually address the broader market as well.
It's a tough task for the Evora, driving the company in a brand new direction and simultaneously respecting the Lotus tradition.
In order to have a vision going forward for the brand, you need to understand where you come from. You need to understand where your roots lie, actually.
The Lotus DNA didn't evolve on the roads. It was born on the racetrack. 7 Formula One World Constructors' Championships, 79 Grand Prix wins, IndyCar champions, rallying, Le Mans. The iconic green and yellow racing colours have conquered them all. It was all the vision of one man, Colin Chapman. Designer, engineer, genius.
On the quiet, Colin Chapman would have always said that he actually only made road cars so that he had the money to go racing.
Chapman was a competitive racer with a devoted workforce. They called him the Governor.
Colin Chapman was a real hands-on engineer, a genius actually when it came to risking also a new technology, innovative technology that actually nobody else has tried to put on race cars or even road cars.
Design innovation and smart engineering remain at the heart of Lotus cars. And no one understands that more than the man charged with taking them into the future.
having a heritage like Lotus has to offer, it's something that is second to none, and you can build on that.
Each car is still produced on the same site Colin Chapman purchased nearly 50 years ago. Just 5 Lotus Evoras are completed here each day. But each one receives over 200 man-hours of personal attention. Lotus believe this human contact makes their cars unique. Director of Operations, Michael Ock, has joined Lotus from Porsche.
The first thing I remember is the openness from the English people here.
Michael's first job is to place more trust in his workforce.
One thing we have done is to give each worker the responsibility for what he's doing. Because before somebody was there to check the things, it helps us to save time building the car. And let's say it gives more responsibility to our workers.
But with extra responsibility comes added pressure. Each station must complete their jobs within a specified time limit. As soon as the car is wheeled into a new station, the clock starts ticking.
Each time on 55 minutes, the clock will click over, and the guys know as soon as that clock clicks over, their operation must be complete and the car must move on.
With a human workforce at the heart of the factory, the assembly line must be kept moving.
Any one stage doesn't move up, the whole factory gets bottlenecked behind it, and then we won't meet our production targets.
Lotus is famous for innovation. Colin Chapman's greatest idea was to make his race cars light, leading to a more efficient performance. Under Chapman's guidance, Lotus pioneered composite materials and aerodynamics. Soon, Chapman was leaving his rivals gasping for breath. Victory followed victory. The Evora continues Chapman's philosophy of design innovation. Russell Carr is design manager for Lotus. Even as a child, Russell knew where his future lay.
I'm proud to be part of Lotus because for me as a boy, Lotus was the pinnacle of motorsport and road cars, and I grew up playing with toy cars which were Lotuses, the JPS Lotuses.
Lotus cars use the mid-engine layout. That means putting the heaviest component between the rear wheels. This improves handling, especially when cornering. But the brief for the Evora is a unique challenge for Russell.
The challenge that the Evora presented us was, like any car design, the challenge is to make a beautiful car, and that is a challenge to any designer. But specific to the Evora, it's a very unique package in that it is a 2+2 mid-engine sports car.
The 2+2 principle is simple. 2 seats in the front, 2 in the back. But putting 2 seats in the back of a mid-engine car is a huge gamble.
The challenge with designing a 2+2 mid-engine car is actually to do with the proportions of the vehicle, because in the past the people who've done those vehicles have perhaps struggled to make a beautiful car.
Russell's biggest challenge is combining practicality with sports car looks.
With any sports car, what you're trying to do is create a car that looks compact, looks like the body is basically shrink-wrapped over the mechanicals, that there's nothing left that doesn't need to be there.
To shrink-wrap the design, Russell works his magic. The Lotus Evora is an optical illusion, a montage of visual tricks that fool the eye.
Key characteristic of the design of the Evora is the way that these lines pinch. You can see these two lines converge and then flare out. This really conveys a lot of speed on the side of the car, but also emphasises the muscle on the rear wheel, conveys power to the rear wheel, which is very important for a mid-engine rear-wheel drive sports car.
Even the windows are designed to make the car appear smaller than it actually is.
A really distinctive part of the Evora design is the glass house. So you have this very strong wrap-around windscreen that then flows into the side glass. The lines taper, they cross, and then they take your eye onto the rear glass. Very charismatic part of the design.
But it's not just the lines. Russell uses other tactics to play visual tricks.
So on the Evora we have quite large wheels on there for the size of car, and because they're big, it visually foreshortens the wheelbase length, which makes the car look more compact.
Russell also knows that the rear of the Evora must be well sculpted.
You can see from here the tapered cabin, the tapered teardrop cabin. The teardrop shape comes from motorsport design, where you see on endurance races, etc., very aerodynamic. The shoulder of the car is always important on a sports car. If you think of some of the great sports cars of the 1950s and 60s, like AC Cobras and GT40s, they all have this fantastic combination of muscularity but also litheness, so a bit like a toned athlete. And on the Evora, certainly we mix both those facets within the design.
But when designing the front, an entirely different approach is required.
And then in front we use sculpture on the car to make the car look lithe and agile. So you have this combination of the two, which I think gives the car a lot of presence.
And Russell is confident his design will stand the test of time.
You know, when you look at the Evora, because of the quite soft sculpture on the car, that it's a car that's going to look good today, but it's also going to look good in 10 or 15 years' time.
And the Evora offers design inspiration for the next chapter in the Lotus story.
I think the car takes Lotus into the new generation cars that we're working on for the future.
5 new cars are being designed simultaneously, and building them will be an enormous challenge.
It's not just about designing plans and designing nice cars, it's about execution.
"6 a.m. A consignment of glass fibre body panels arrives in raw form from France. Toning the Evora's physique begins here, in the body shop. A composite body can reduce weight by 60% and is 5 times stronger than steel. These materials are favoured by Formula One teams and the makers of supercars. The raw panels require intensive sanding. Each Evora needs just 15 composite panels to construct its elegant body. The panel set will remain as a family throughout the entire process, until they become an Evora. Before the panels can be painted, they must pay a visit to quality control. It's essential that the panels are silky smooth before being painted. Andy Sculfer is the man to check the job.
After a lot of years' experience, you can pick up any faint distortion in the panel with your fingers.
Up to 21 colours can be mixed to create the base coat of an Evora. The panels are painted in a special environment where heat and humidity can be controlled. more than 20 litres of paint will be used for one Evora. First, a primer is applied, followed by 8 litres of base coat. The base coat is just 30 microns thick, about the same as a human hair. 7 litres of lacquer complete the job. Next, the frame of panels is manoeuvred into the oven for quick drying. A lightweight aluminium chassis is the foundation of the Evora. These high-tech frames arrive in 3 parts from a separate Lotus facility. They can be bonded together with resin, saving as much weight as possible. Weighing in at just 200 kilograms, this lightweight frame is the first secret of a Lotus car's performance. Engine assembly, where the engines are married to the chassis. The chassis is made from 3 sections: centre, rear and front. The front section must be designed with safety in mind.
So here we see the front of the car, riveted together and glued. In the event of a front end impact, we can see the gap's vary. In a low speed impact, just the front folds up. The higher the impact, the more it folds up to the hair, but we're still protecting the occupants inside the car.
The front section will also contain vital elements: the radiator, heater and aircon units. Even the Evora's radiator is turned into an aerodynamic feature.
One of the features on the front of the car is that in a conventional car the radiator is usually mounted in an upright position. On the Evora we swoop it forwards. That allows the air to come through the front and exit through the grills on the bonnet, which means we can keep a nice low front to the car, which helps with the aerodynamics.
The centre section forms the tub for the driver and passenger seats. The rear section holds the 3.5 litre V6 engine. But for the Evora, Lotus upgraded its gearbox. Each gear is finely machined, creating a close ratio gear system. A close ratio means that each gear is closer in size to the next. The result? Smooth shifting and a sportier ride. Once complete, the 6-speed gearbox is bolted to the engine before the unit is lowered into the rear module. In one room at Lotus, the Evora really takes shape. Body marriage. Every 2 hours, completed sections of chassis arrive from engine assembly.
The Evora is a 3-part chassis. This is a central section, and the front and rear will be bolted on the next stage after I've just finished the seatbelt anchorage frame.
Step by step, 3 frames become one. At each station, the car receives almost an hour of attention from the technicians. Man and machine working in harmony.
The handmade thing is part of Lotus' personality. You have no automation, so the car is moved from one station to another station at the moment by hand. The heart of everything is the teamwork here. That is very special.
Steel cars are welded together. Not so with the composite Evora. Instead, epoxy resin is used as a bond. Epoxy resin saves weight and is 3 times stronger than a steel weld. The resin begins to harden immediately. The Evora will be at full driving strength within 30 minutes. The roof is bonded before the windscreen is sealed with a polyurethane adhesive. But the Evora is not finished yet. At Lotus, the desire to evolve, improve and innovate is too great to resist. Even when the Evora is deep into production, upgrades are being made. A 4-kilometer test track allows for instant performance testing in race conditions. For one man at Lotus, the need to improve the existing models provides a constant source of pleasure. Driving fast and furious is all in a day's work for Matthew Becker.
We'll spend 4 or 5 hours on the road and about 3 hours on the track. And in between those times, we'll be in the workshop asking the technicians to make the changes to the car which we want to do.
His expert knowledge of suspension and vehicle dynamics helped Lotus perfect their machines. Here on the test track, the famous Lotus handling is born.
We'll feel how the steering, ride and handling of the car performs. We'll come back in and based on our experience and knowledge, we'll know what to change on the car to improve it.
Matthew believes a car design produces about 70% of the handling performance. The rest can be adjusted afterwards by fine-tuning the suspension and steering. This test track outside the factory makes his job easier.
The track is about 2 minutes from our workshop. So, as I said, it allows us to make many changes per day because we'll make one change in the workshop, 2 minutes we're out on the test track, either the change works or it doesn't. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to the technician in the workshop and change it and try again.
Once the Evora is launched, Matthew Becker gets back on the track and works on the next model, the Evora S. The S gets its name from the supercharger that's been fitted to the engine. A supercharger forces more air into the engine. Extra oxygen means more fuel burned. This boosts the car's power. The new top speed, 276 kilometers per hour. But with extra power, the Evora S is an entirely different animal.
Okay, this is a Lotus Evora S, as you can tell by the supercharger bolted on top of the engine. This is a great example of some of the work we've done at Lotus on the test track. We've made an increase in the rear anti-roll bar diameter, which makes the suspension stiffer and gives a sportier ride.
A stiffer suspension allows the ride to be lower and firmer. This means the driver can feel the dynamics of the road through the wheel. The supercharger also means a new tyre is needed. A tyre that can handle the extra power. In true Lotus fashion, Matthew and the team design their own.
So this is a great illustration of work we've carried out on our test track. For the Lotus Evora S, we developed with Pirelli a P0 Corsa tyre. It's unique to us. It has LS marking on the side. The tyres have increased block stiffness. The increased block stiffness gives you increased cornering grip.
The secret compound in the tyres delivers maximum handling performance in both wet and dry conditions. Next, Lotus work on the wheels. Weight, balance and positioning are vital for a great handling car. Each wheel is balanced down to the nearest gram.
This will tell me exactly where I need to put the weights on either side of the wheel. Okay, so obviously left hand side is okay. Right hand side we need to stick 20 onto the wheel itself.
An unbalanced wheel can be dangerous at high speeds. To correct the imbalance, tiny weights are added to each individual wheel.
Now I can then spin it to make sure that the machine is happy with the balance. 3 okays, so I know everything is good now. So I can take the wheel off the machine.
But most important to a Lotus is the suspension. The Lotus system features 2 wishbone arms. Popular with race cars, this suspension keeps the wheels standing straight, meaning a smoother driving experience.
So here we see the bespoke wishbones fitted to the chassis. They are the parts which give the car its unique ride and handling characteristics.
The penultimate stage of the factory is vehicle assembly. Piece by piece, the Evora takes shape. From the rear panels, to the wheels, and the interior furnishings. There are 12 stations, each working against the clock.
Each stage has an assignment and a man on that assignment. They have approximately 55 minutes worth of work. There's a lot of work, a lot of detail work to try and do in that amount of time.
Unlike many production lines, Lotus give workers more time with each car.
I worked at GM before where they were on 1 minute assignments, very quick time, very repeatable short gaps. These guys have got a whole array of assignments to remember in the time they've got.
As the production manager, Mike King needs to keep a good relationship with all the technicians. And he needs to ensure high standards are maintained.
We track every station individually. Every operator's quality is tracked, it's fed back to the guys. Any repeat problems, then we'll put them right.
But the technicians must be versatile. At vehicle assembly, one production line copes with all of the Lotus models. It's vital the team can work on the smaller cars, as well as the Evora.
We can switch instantly from a small car, like the Elise or the Exige, to the Evora. So it means that they have to have a range of jobs that they can do within that move-up time.
This system matches the pace of production with customer demand.
We get 10 cars at the moment a day at 55 minutes per car. There is a certain amount of pressure to get the job done.
Despite the extra pressure, productivity has already improved.
Much better there in June.
Yeah, this is our target. So the trend is good. The trend goes down.
Yeah, we've got good downward trend. We was on about 13, 14 hours per car.
Yeah.
That's reduced. We just had our best month ever in June. Since Danny Bahar and Michael Lock joined, there's been a lot more focus, a lot more accountability and responsibility. Every measure's looked at, quality, cost, delivery, and we have to hit our targets.
Part of Danny's vision is an efficient production unit.
Responsibility comes with accountability. Is something we have introduced from day one. It doesn't only apply to it does not only apply to Mike Lock and the production, but it applies to the entire company. Actually, you get more freedom in your area, but you're also responsible for the mistakes that you do.
At this station, 2 technicians must fit the carpets, center console, seat belts and seats within 55 minutes. The lights are fitted before the steering wheel is attached. Lotus build their steering wheels out of lightweight magnesium. This offers an intimate feel between man and machine.
The Evora is a car that gives you all the information you need. As soon as you put a steering input in, it gives you the exact feedback required to drive the car fast.
To increase legroom, Lotus use a flat-bottom steering wheel. The leather for the wheel is cut in the trim shop, where the rest of the interior is prepared. Up to 3 hides may be cut, trimmed and stitched for an Evora. Almost 10 square meters of leather. Once in its leather suit, the Evora can take a drink. But first they must check there are no leaks in the system.
The system itself will pressurise, then vacuum the whole of the system through before it allows any fluid to be put into the system.
Fluids can now be added to power the brakes, air conditioning unit and power steering. Before it's ready for the road, the Evora needs to make it through one last examination. The final part of the factory is testing and inspection. The wheels are aligned using digital imaging cameras, called Hawkeye.
This car now is having all its 4-wheel geometry set to predetermined degrees, using the 4 mirrors on the 4 wheels to optimise the handling and feel of the car.
To the nearest 1/50th of a degree, the direction of the wheels is aligned. If the alignment is out, it won't drive like a Lotus.
People buy Lotus cars because they're phenomenal handling cars. We put a lot of time and effort into making sure that all the geometry is set perfectly and optimised to make them a driver's car with tremendous feedback, feel and handling.
This attention to detail makes the Evora unique.
Any magazine review you read about the Evora basically sums this up. They say no other car has such a good balance for steering, ride and handling performance, and that is key to a Lotus.
And Matthew believes the Evora is a leap forward for the company.
The Evora is basically it's a completely new platform. So we've developed a car that doesn't just perform well on the track, but also performs exceptionally well on the road.
At the rolling road, a Lotus can take its first breath. The dyno simulates engine conditions without having to take the car outdoors. Even following a successful test, the Evora must go through a rigorous inspection process. Every square inch is assessed to ensure the car will meet the customer's expectations. From concept to delivery, the Evora has taken just 27 months to create. The culmination of 60 years of innovation. Fast, light, and agile. For those who are part of its development, the hours of hard work are worth it.
First time you're in a town somewhere or a city and you're not expecting to see the car and suddenly something catches your eye just out of the corner of the eye and you look around because you think that's exciting, what's that? And you go, wow, that's one of our cars.
The Evora is a great ride and handling car. It gives you so much direct interaction with the car that you believe that you're on a go-kart if you want.
But the new team know that even a successful car needs to evolve.
The Evora, as every car in every company, has to improve, renovate and to refresh its attractivity. And we put a lot of attention on this car because this is one very important car in the range at the moment.
We have to invest a lot of money in making the car better and better with regard to the quality, with regard to the passion actually of driving, with regard to the sound that the engine should give, the gearbox, how it changes the gears, and all these many things. I think more than 150 changes will see that the Evora will make a huge step in quality.
With an international motor show to prepare for, Danny and his team plot their next move. A move they hope will take the motoring world by storm. Five brand new cars to be released over the next 6 years. A challenge unlike anything Lotus has attempted before.
This is really going to the maximum, asking every single bit from any employee in this company really to go further than what Lotus was actually ever doing or whatever has been done here in the company. And I think, yes, this is a lot of pressure for all of us.
The man leading the design project is Donato Coco.
Those new cars represent the blueprint of our future range. This is a real statement in terms of design, in terms of ergonomy, in terms of quality.
Paris, October 2010. The International Motor Show. Lotus are set to unveil their new project to the automotive world.
Our future starts right here.
To be 50 years younger and have one of these, boy, you'd pick up all the girls, wouldn't you?
I think it's time for the British car, particularly the Lotus, to take its place again, the way it was in the past.
The reaction to the new cars takes even Danny by surprise.
We did not expect the feedback from the world to be as huge. I mean, we were overwhelmed because suddenly you were the star of the show. It showed us that this brand or this product lineup has a big potential, otherwise nobody would actually care about you, right?
Lotus is changing. Danny Bihar's new era has brought in new staff, modern production methods, and an ambitious vision for the future, whilst being respectful of the company's past. It's a new dawn at Lotus, and the Evora marks their ambition in scintillating style. If Lotus can instill this kind of magic in its new model army, Danny's dream will become a reality.
and I really hope, and I strongly believe in it, that we will achieve what we promised, that we will deliver all this. It will just be a job done, well done, but that will be it.